Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Fellows Toastmasters, I have spent a few weeks studying the art of speech and delivering memorable stories. Now, who here wants their story to be memorable and remembered by everyone? Please raise your hand. Awesome. It looks like everyone wants to be remembered. We're all going to be our own personal legends. Well, the one way to achieve that is through emotional storytelling. Emotional storytelling is one of the powerful tools at our disposal that can actually help us achieve those goals. But what exactly is emotional storytelling and why is it so effective? You can connect with your audience on a deep and emotional level and making them feel something, whether it's joy, sadness, anger, or empathy. Emotions can help you create a powerful bond between yourself and your audience. Now, how do you tap into these emotions? Well, here are some tips. And luckily for you, you are a human with very, very complex emotions, and you can tap into them whenever you want. You have that fountain within you. Now, what you want to start off with first is having a strong, relatable character. And the first one you can always start with is yourself. Now, when you're telling a story that's personable, you have to be vulnerable with your audience. You have to give them a backstory, quirks, flaws. Show them that you are a human and not an AI robot like ChatGPT. You can handle the complex world today, so you're amazing. Now, you got to think about the emotion you want to convey for your story, right? Now, what emotions do you want them to feel, and when do you want them to feel them? You don't want them to feel them in the beginning. You want to introduce them. You want to ease them to that. You want them to dip their toes into the story before you show them the pain, the happiness, the anger, everything that you're trying to invoke. You have to know when to invoke it. Now, one thing that is important is your voice and how you narrate the story. Now, when you're telling a sad story, what you need to do is slow down during the emotional parts, the parts where you hurt, the parts where you want to cry, the parts where you want them to see this emotional character and what they had to endure. But if you want them to be happy, you want to raise your pitch, you want to go higher, you want to elevate them, you want to excite them, you want them to see the happiness that you endured within that story. Now, another technique that is particularly effective in emotional storytelling is the use of details in the story, right? So you want to paint a vivid picture, transport your audience to a different time and place, and you want them to feel like they're there with you, like they're walking alongside you through the story of your life. Now, for instance, I don't know if you all remember Cheryl's first speech where she talked to us about her adolescence and her growing up in China. Now, if you felt like you were there next to her, please raise your hand, because I felt like I was right there with her. I felt like I was smelling everything, experiencing everything with her, because she effectively used details and she used her voice. She used her mannerisms. She used her arm. She used her entire body to just transport that energy into you. And you saw the story. Like whenever you read a book, you feel like you're there with them. I felt like I was there with Maya Angelou. I felt like I was there with Betty Smith. Now, while that is truly, truly effective, it all matters in the details. You got to paint everything. You got to tell them how everything smelled, how everything felt, how you felt feeling that. Now, as I mentioned previously, vulnerability is a powerful way to connect with your audience and making them feel like they're not alone. So having a relatable story, like I said, is an effective way to just show vulnerability. Tell them what hurt you and how it hurt you. Cry if you have to, choke up if you have to, if you want to, because it actually did hurt. And it still hurts sometimes to talk about emotional stories. Now, a quick synopsis of the tips I covered is being a relatable character while showcasing vulnerability through an emotional experience that can help the story be remembered by all. Now, at the end of the day, emotional storytelling is about creating a connection with your audience that goes beyond entertainment or information. It's tapping into the shared human experiences of love, loss, joy, pain. We can create stories that move people in so many profound ways. So I invite you to be emotional, to be vulnerable, and to share your story with so many others so you can inspire them to tell their story too. It's this emotional connection that we all share that helps us see solutions in very creative ways to different problems. Like, for instance, last week, that was an emotional experience for me. Speaking about my experiences as a human and what I had to endure as a child were painful. And I knew I said it in a very, very technical way, but inside, you all felt my pain, right? You all felt how hurt I was, but you saw the joy in how I resurrected myself and became a wonderful member of society, and you can do it too. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all are emotional and vulnerable from here on out.